All right, what's going on, everyone? What's up, what's up, what's up? It is Friday. It's time for some Feedback Friday action. Today's going to be a long stream. So if you have more than one song, you're welcome to resubmit at some point later. If you've already been selected. But anyways, what's going on, everyone? What's up, Popcorn? Cindy? What's up, Art Nerd? Tried out this new coffee shop this morning and feeling pretty cracked out. In a good way. I'm ready to listen to some tunes. What's up, Shipwreck? I'll give my manager a heads up, Cody, that you might be reaching out, because we actually just chatted right before my stream, kind of having a little catch up, talking about album stuff. What's up, Chairboy? So the goal today is maybe to get through the entire feed of submissions. We'll see if that actually works out. Would be sick though. What the hell? There's a feet command? Who did the foot command? That must have been added. I feel like that's Chairboy's doing, is it not? You secretly made it. Hey, can we give a shout out to all the people, specifically and especially Art Nerd, that help so much with the Haywyre stream, with little assets and logistics and stuff. Well, it's a really quick little round of applause. I love that you just randomly create stuff like that sometimes. I appreciate it. Brings a smile to my face. All right. Let's see what we're cooking with today. All right, let's switch over to my desktop view here. All right, we already got like 10 people ready to go. Let's do it. Should we just start right away? Okay, winner number 1. What's up, the Wolf King? What did you got for us? Whoops, I did not mean to exit out of that box, but sweet. First track of the day, Aviation by Wolf King? What? Huh? What is this? Cool melody, I like it. Really catchy. Oh wait, I'm gonna get DMCA'd for this. I just realized that. Okay, we gotta stop playing that. Okay, well, let me give you some feedback, Wolf King. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could get hundreds of millions of streams on your track. Aviation is a great title. I do feel like I'm taking flight, when I'm listening to this. I'm soaring in the clouds. But, I don't know. It feels like it's missing something I feel like I could hit up my buddy Braken to maybe help you out finish this idea. What do you think? He might be into this. I feel like this is up his alley. If I hit him up right now, I think he would be down. I think it'll take off too. Whoa, I can't believe we started the stream with this. Okay, anyways, let's keep her moving. What's up, DJ Transponder? What you got for us, senor? I feel like we could do like a funk version of Flight pretty easily. Your friend Laz Seka heard this and loved it. My friend? Do I know somebody named Laz Seka? I don't know if I've heard that name in my life. That was fire. Love this track. So is this a beat battle sample in here? Can I ask what the sample is? That is my friend Keelan. She was a contestant on American Idol. Oh, word. Very sick. What a vibe. Very I like the mix down quite a bit. And I like the vocals, I like the chop. I'm not sure. Maybe the vocals are from the beat battle sample, so I'm not entirely sure. The vocal chops got it. Okay. Very cool. I like it a lot. I almost want to jam out it one more time. I was kind of vibing to it, and it's only 2 minutes long, so we could do it one more time. We play it one more time. lot of fun to jam on. Well, in terms of critique, let me think about this for a moment. I was kind of busy just jamming, so forgive me for not going too deep into like specifics and mix related stuff. But I really like the foundation. Everything here is the arrangement, the sound selection, and it's very listenable, very friendly and easy listening, and it's great for all of those qualities. I think maybe there's like a tiny bit of room for some like little extra flourishes. Like I did find myself being able to add a lot melodically to it. Obviously, I'm not saying you should, have somebody like myself just ripping piano from beginning to end or anything like that. But I do think that there's maybe room for a little bit more little melodic flourishes and little melodic elements potentially. But what a vibe. Really, really awesome submission. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing. The song is a bit short, that's true. For some reason, I'm not saying you should do this, but the chord progression right now is obviously like it's the G flat minor, A flat minor, and then it's kind of like the fractionated chord. It's like the A flat 7 minor 7 over the D. But I almost wondered if maybe on occasion you could get away with playing that D major going back into the G flat minor. D flat major. Maybe dominant actually. Could also be the first inversion, but just a thought. I think it's only potentially a tiny bit helpful in very specific areas. Not every time there's a turnaround. It does make it more jazzy. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing because, it would change maybe slightly what kind of people are enjoying the song. But no matter what, really cool tune. I love playing on top of this, so great way to start the stream. Let's does subbing get a higher chance at raffle? It does not. The way the raffle works is everyone has the exact same chance. It's not a perfect system by any means, but at least it guarantees that people don't get preferred treatment just because they're subscribed. It's pure gamba. Pure gambling. Speaking of which, do you guys want to do a little bit of gamba today? I'm going to be around for a long time today, so we can make things a little more interesting for Feedback Fridays today. If Artnerd is willing to help out, we could potentially do a little bit of gamba. All right. This is like the innocent version of gambling. I will never encourage or partake in any like serious gambling because I actually despise it. But personally, free country, do what you want with your money, but that shit is rigged. I don't want to spend a dime on things like that. But why don't we do a gamba here? Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the list right now. Fake money gamble, yeah. So Artner, do you want me to list out all the names for you, or are you able to see them on the screen right now? Just let me know. And in the meantime, you guys need to get ready and think about who you want to bet your life's earnings on. Yep. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll let you know the names. I already know who I'm betting on. The song is stuck in my head. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I can only type 5 responses. Why is it being weird? It's okay if it's not working. I might have to grab baby here anyways for a brief moment. Let me turn on the BRB screen and get the baby boy. We have 7 people, but I can only type 5. We'll take a brief break here. Honestly, even if it's just 5 people, it's probably fine. It's not a big deal. It's still a gamba. So, let me snag Senora Baby. I'll be back in just a moment. He is here. All right. How are we looking, Art Nerd? Do you want me to list the names for a little gamba? I'll just do somebody else for the 5th. That's totally fair. I think that'll work fine. Excuse me. So the first 4 get their names written. All right. I'll tell you those names right now. So right now we got Josta Music, Opal Winds, I'm Unlaser, and Shipwreck Paradise. I can do up to 10 with prediction? Okay. Should we do... Let's do 10 people then. So that's... I think I gave you 4. Do you want me to start over? Let me know when you're ready. Thanks for helping with this, by the way. And just to clarify, we're doing a little Gamba action here. So we want to make it so that you can bet on who is going to win the next feedback Friday raffle. Ready in 10 seconds. Sweet. Look at him causing mischief in the background there. He loves exploring in the studio. All right, thank you guys for waiting. So here are the 10 names. So we got Josta, Opal, or Opal Winds. I'm Unlezer, Shipwreck. Then we got Eidolon, Red Panda, Chairboar, Noxel, Cody, and Moogard. So I actually don't even have 10 entries right now. Oh, wait. Did I miss someone? No.
Do you still have that Genji costume from the OWL performance at BlizzCon? Skull emoji.
Oh my god. I don't know what happened to that. I think I might have it somewhere. I still have an Overwatch Roadhog hook that I got from somewhere somehow. I don't know how that happened. Third name is, it's like laser but with an E. Unlaser. Liaser. I'm Unliaser. Hopefully that helps. Got it? Okay, sweet. All right, y'all, get ready to Gamba here. I wish I could partake in the Gamba. I'm just gonna tell you guys, I'm placing my bet on Chairboar. It's spoken like Lisa. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying. I should have just asked you. You're literally in the chat, and I'm sitting here, mispronouncing your name in like 20 different ways. All right. You got half a minute left to choose, y'all. Who's it gonna be? The stakes have never been higher. Who will win? Who will win key coins? I bet some of you have a decent amount of key coins. Dedication to the gambling. Wait, who won? Damn, you had 53K? That's crazy. Where's the winner? How do you know who won? You have to roll the... Oh, what the fuck? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Jesus. Oh my god! Oh, it's so rigged. Wait. It was Chairboar. Let's go. Nice. Did anybody win that one? You should have just bet with me. It's your own fault. I told you guys who to vote for. Nice. All right, Chairboar, what you got for us today? Jesus. You're telling a story here. All right, where are we going? Sick. I really like the Foley work. I feel like that's a new thing for you, Chairbor. Baby's chilling with me here. He's gonna help me critique this song. What do you think, baby? I think he's unimpressed. All right. All right. But seriously, I do like the Foley work a lot. I feel like it adds this narrative element to your song. Kind of felt like I don't know. You could kind of use your own imagination and apply that to the Foley work. It kind of felt like to me like maybe I don't know, some kind of accident, you know, somebody like a carjacking or something, and the car they're jacking like was playing your song, and then in the middle they're like suddenly having like this wake up call, like, oh shit, this is what I did, and then they start tripping out and they have a little DMT moment where they're like, I don't know, just tripping out and freaking out. And but anyways, really cool tune. I think that I feel like rhythmically what's happening with that plucky synth feels a little chaotic for me at times. I think it's nice that it's unquantized. But sometimes it feels almost too unquantized. And maybe something that could help with that is maybe some articulation changes. Right now it's very static, right? It's like this one patch that just keeps getting triggered. And it could be nice if maybe there's like some automation going on with the cutoff, or maybe with the reverb. Maybe the reverb is kind of like really short for some of the hits. You know, maybe it opens up with certain hits to kind of articulate it differently. There's a lot of room for, I think, some variation there, especially because the only two elements you have are very like super upfront. But yeah. sometimes that like foghorn sub like Reese type thing feels like it's not quite in I don't know if that one was in key. Hold on. It felt like that hit there was out of key. But the DMT trip here in the middle of the song. I love it. I do really like this little like UKG like interlude thing here. I wonder if it'd be cool here. I think that I enjoyed that you kind of used the sound design from earlier and kind of made some tweaks to it. I almost wonder if this could be a good opportunity to maybe use a different sound altogether. I'm not trying to go on a production tangent here, but like imagine if you used literally just some kind of like maybe just for this section or something, you could go with something gentler. Or maybe some kind of combination of the two. I'm not sure. But yeah, just a thought. I think that sound is really cool, but I think that these kind of sounds that it's hard for them to translate on different kinds of devices, like in terms of hearing the enough of the harmonic information to know like what key is being played with that sound. I don't know. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I think it's a little bit risky to have that be like the primary element that's kind of communicating the key of the song for like the mid range, because the only other element that I think is playing stuff from the key of the song is like the sub, and then that pad in the background for sure. That helps a lot. But that thing is quite atonal actually, so I really think that I just think some other element would be nice to kind of like ground it a little bit more in that tonal space that it's in. But yeah, really cool tune. Thank you for sharing. Do you release all these songs that you share on Feedback Fridays, or like what do you do? Because every time you have a new song, and I'm curious if you actually release all of these. Haywyre, when are you set to start the tour this year? It depends on when the album is done, but it's most likely gonna be Q3 of 2026. I'm trying to remember the range that my manager gave me that would be ideal to shoot for, but I actually didn't compose with key in this track. Just went by ear. No way. That would be impossible for me. But okay, let's move on to the next person. Who do we got next? Or wait, should we gamba, or should we just keep firing all cylinders and keep moving? What do you guys want to do? Can you perform at my house in my studio on my MIDI keyboard with a fellow recording? Hey, you could reach out to my agent, see if we can make that happen. All right, do you guys want a gamba, or should we just do normal winners for now? We can do sporadic gamba, yeah. I say let's alternate. Let's alternate. I'm gonna choose another winner, and then we'll go back to gamba. All right. So it's Lisa, right? Link in the chat, indeed. Haywire, sounds good. I got a great venue for you. Hell yeah, love to hear that. Assuming you'll be up in the Midwest a lot, I want to try my best to get you in between stops, definitely. Well, I do love the Midwest, but also West Coast and East Coast as well, of course. I'm going to try to hit up Canada. Be really cool to hit up Mexico someday. I know the music scene might be a little bit different, but I've never performed there. Would love to perform in Mexico. All right, what do we got here? This is Lisa and Brizzle Issues. Already like the vibe. Very cool. Love it. I was kind of curious to see where you're going to take us. And I really enjoy the way you executed the writing, like your choice in building and releasing tension, your sound selection. It's really nice, that like screeching kind of synth, could be a synth or a vocal that's distorted. It's great. It's got like searing on top, very kind of like a bit of a melancholic, bittersweet kind of chord progression. Definitely, yeah, just a good tune. The arrangement is good. I think any feedback I'd have for this would be a little bit more nitpicky. I don't really see any big picture issues. You know, mixed sound design, everything feels like very much it's a song, you know, and if it works, it's telling a story. The vocals sound good, mix is good, yeah. So just overall, I think a success. I in terms of feedback, I'd say for me, there are some moments like where I feel like you could push the envelope a little bit if you wanted to with different things. Whether that's, you know, maybe exploring the chord progression a little bit more, you know, so you have those same three chords the entire time, which works great, by the way. I think that the song kind of sometimes it's better for a song to stick to a chord progression throughout the entire piece, and it certainly works the way it is. But I think there's potentially some room to add a little more tension on occasion, and to just explore the space. I think there's also potentially room for the vocal to be elaborated on a little bit. I know that what are the lyrics again? Hold on. All that I don't do, you make it an issue. I could hear like some vocal chops with the voice, potentially. It's tough because obviously, like the that screeching lead is the primary, like it's one of the big things giving momentum and energy to the track here. So I'm not sure there's actually room for that there, but there might be other moments where it's possible. I think for the second drop, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I love like A-B drops and stuff. And so I actually really love that the production of this doesn't feel like it's leaning into, it's not borrowing from like electronic dance music. It feels more just like electronic music. And I really love that. I think it's great. That being said, I do feel there's a part of me was hearing like maybe a little bit more variation in terms of sound design. I think, like, for example, so you see, you hear how the sub is kind of like doing the tremolo. So maybe those first two measures are exactly as is. And then for two measures, all the elements, I'm a sucker for call and response type drops. So that's kind of what I'm mentioning here is like maybe all these elements, including that screeching synth, kind of go tremolo in sync with the sub for like two measures. And then goes back to like legato. I just think there's just a tiny bit more room for some flourishes and flares of that nature. But the nice thing is you have such good bare bones. It's such a strong foundation for a track that, you know, you could experiment with things like that. And then if you were like, well, you know what, I don't like that, then don't add it, right? Because at this point, like, if you wanted to, you could already just call it quits here and say, this is a good song. This is done, right? So I think that's a really great position to be in. I love being in that place as an artist because if you already like the song, then and it already feels finished, then I don't know. There's something really comforting about taking risks at that point, because it's like, well, you don't have to take risks in an effort to make it better. It's already good enough. It's just taking risks to find little tiny things that might reveal something that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. The reason why I mentioned this kind of stuff, by the way, is because for all of you artists out there, obviously a lot of you are artists. It's Feedback Fridays, but you probably know the feeling of like, okay, well, you put a song out and then that's it, right? There's no turning back. I mean, of course you could, VIP your own tracks and stuff like that, but that is your opportunity to create an impression on people with that particular idea. So I always think that even when you think a song is done, it's always worth kind of like letting it sit for a little bit and then kind of coming back to it and experimenting a little bit. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and then you just release it anyways, and it's all good. But I don't think there's any there's only something to potentially be gained, because your subconscious might end up revealing something to you may not have considered otherwise. And one other thing, by the way, I'm just going to throw this out randomly, but I'm getting kind of Roixop vibes a little bit from this. Yo, Rat Wizard, thank you for the follow. But do with that what you will. Yeah, future-based LFO chains, it doesn't need to be kind of in a very like EDM-y kind of way. I know that that's a common production technique in the EDM space, and like I said, I really like you're not leading too heavily into that. But I did want to just throw it out there because I think that just the concept of having like a call and response could be really cool. How you execute that, obviously up to you. Just an idea I'm throwing out there, but really great tune. And I'm a sucker for those kind of chord progressions. But anyways, let's move on to the next. Thanks for sharing. Make sure to follow you and see when this track drops. Really enjoying the feedback. Thanks so much. Of course. I'm sorry if I sound uninformed. I don't know who that is. Oh, don't worry about that. All right, let's move on. Cody, what you got for us? I know you were saying earlier you had something. What do we got here? So this is Mistakes featuring Nonchalant.
I don't know what's worse, the silence inside my head or the way you did me first. Your true self ain't what you say you hide behind a curtain. I'd be lying if I said I ain't check your page, you know I'm hurting. To see you happy, tell me what happened. Fuck all them catches, you know you don't compare, you ain't even attached to him. You way too bad for him, open your little hand for me, I'll wait and stand for you, And I know I shouldn't, I know it's wrong, you did me wrong, try to move on, I couldn't. I'm standing tall and then I fall, it's like I lost my footing. Ain't did no flaw, and when you call, you still leaving bruises. I make mistakes, I'm human, I know some shit that's stupid. I'll admit that that's the truth, and you do the same, you wouldn't do it. You'll just make excuses, I can't lie, I'm going through it. Tell me, is this shit delusion? For you, I would up and shoot it. Is it real or hard pretend? It's the start of this, the end. I can't go off what you said, cause what you said, it don't make sense. You so off, you so wrong, I held on for too long. Like at this point, I'm in the wrong.
Cool. Some cool stuff happening here. I think the arrangement works. You know, it's very, very straightforward. You know, intro feels like there's like a bit of a verse. You get a drop, kind of like a second drop, another kind of like bridge section, build, and then another drop here, and an outro. So it feels very kind of like a familiar structure. Some good stuff happening. I think that if I'm thinking like broad picture, it still feels a little bit rough around the edges. I think there's room for some like mix improvements, and some creative decisions to be considered too. For example, you know, the vocals feel like a really big part of the song in the first half. So, you know, you're I think omitting them from the second half I think it makes it feel like it's missing that element. So I would definitely encourage you to consider having them in the second half as well. You know, if there's a creative, you know, choice behind that, maybe you wanted to switch things up instead of just having the same vocal there again. In which case, you know, you could introduce some kind of different processing or other effects to kind of like mess with that a bit more. But yeah, in general, I think the idea is cool. I think that the whole idea of having, you know, like I wouldn't call it. It doesn't feel that similar to Tape B, but I feel like, you know, that whole idea of having rapping over a drop is something that gained a lot of momentum, I feel like, over the last couple of years. And this feels like somewhat related to that style. Not quite, because it's much more melodic than I feel like a lot of Tape B is. But, you know, even just yesterday, I was listening to new Of the Trees, and he just released a track like a month ago that is basically just straight up hip hop, actually. It feels very... it's just cool to see like EDM producers kind of like finding new ways to bridge certain gaps. But I mean, not that people haven't been like combining rap with EDM for forever, but I just don't think I hear you know, these like more melodic drops with rapping very often. So it's an interesting idea. So let me try to listen to some of this again and try to think more about my feedback here. So one thing I will say, this kind of like pad like vocal chop that sounds like it's happening in the background, it does feel very noisy in like the mid range. I can't give you an exact area, but I would probably check like the 2 to 4K range and see whether A, maybe it's a little bit too much, and like B, maybe it could be like, maybe it wouldn't be as harsh if like maybe the that frequency range could be getting limited and squashed a bit too much, because the role it's playing, I feel like, is more as like it's more just like setting the groundwork for the rest of the track, right? It doesn't need to have go super aggressive in terms of that mid-range area. So there's something to think about. It feels a little bit harsh here in the outro too. Actually, it's a bit higher than 2 to 4K, I think. But either way, I think I would just look at like your mids and maybe your highs for this vocal pattern thing that's being repeated. But I totally understand what we're doing with it, and I think that's a great creative choice. It's just a mixing challenge, I think, to kind of like get it to work with the track a bit more. I think in terms of like mix down, for me, you know, I'm kind of a bit of a sucker for more like cleaner type mix downs. There's a lot of different approaches, especially when it comes to rap. Like rap is not a genre I listen to a whole lot, so like you know, I know there's lots of rap music where mix downs are essentially completely purposefully almost irritating. It's part of the style, you know? So I totally get that. But I would still say, like, since you're leaning into like the EDM space, some things feel over compressed here, and I think there's room for like the kick and the snare to potentially take up a little more room in the mix here as well. And one thing that I noticed too in the drop, because I like the idea a lot. I think the vocal at times feels like it's just slightly getting out of sync, and some of like that unquantized feel is obviously cool, but when it's I think part of the charm with an unquantized feel is that well, yeah, obviously it doesn't sound super heavily programmed, but if there's too many elements that are going on and off grid, it can become a little bit of a confusing listening experience, because then even if you're hearing the downbeats, like for example in this track, which are very straightforward, you have like kick, snare, but then you have the sidechained bass sounds and stuff that are swelling after each one of those. And so that already has like a little bit of a and so you have this rhythm, like the kind of going, and then on top of that, the vocals are also kind of getting a little bit out of sync in their own way. And I think like it's a little bit too different, like two different rhythmic things happening. It's a little bit confusing, I would say. So I just think like maybe nudging a few of the vocal phrases in certain ways to make sure it feels just a bit more on time would probably be helpful, in my opinion. But anyways, that's just the 2 cents that I got. I hope it's helpful. You could also completely ignore everything I just said, and that would be totally fine because it's a good tune. So thanks for sharing, though. I like what you got going, and hopefully you finish the tune. Oh, Rootkit? No way. I haven't heard that name dropped in a hot minute. Waiting on vocals from someone else. Ah, gotcha. Okay. Word. Hell yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. It's a dope tune. All right. Shall we get back into the gamba? What do y'all say about doing another round of gamba? Gamba time. All right. Let's give y'all another chance to win some key coins. Artner, do you want me to... You didn't lose all your points? Artner, do you want me to read out the names? I think we have exactly 10 right now, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, we got 9. Read them out? Okay, cool. So we got Rat Wizard. We got Ariksu. We got Josta. We got Opal. We got Shipwreck. Eidolon. Red Panda. Noxel. And Mugard. You were mentioned indeed. So we're going to give y'all a chance to bet on who is going to win the next Feedback Friday raffle. Maybe in the future we'll just randomly do one of these raffles, and then the winner will actually win something beyond just key coins. That would be cool. All in on Mugard. We gotta do follow-up. Good luck. All right, prediction started, y'all. You have, I think, 1 minute from now. And thanks for the follow, Ariksu. I appreciate it. Who's it going to be? Great feedback, man. Really appreciate the depth. Yeah, of course. I mean, honestly, I would go more in depth, but I think over time I found the right kind of balance between how much feedback I like to give without neglecting other people who are waiting to have their music heard, you know? Sometimes I ramble and ramble and ramble. Wait, somebody put 67K down? Wait, I can predict. Hold on, I can predict. Why did I not do this before? Everyone's betting on Moogard. Okay, I'm betting on Moogard.
Follow up.
That's some human psychology there. Everybody's betting on Moogard, so I gotta join the fun. Okay. I'll be in touch with your agent to try to get you here to Indy. Nice. I've definitely played in Indy before. Hold on. It's been a while, though, so I'm trying to remember which city it was. I think it was Indianapolis. But interestingly enough, I don't know how... It's not really a place... Correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like it's not... It's definitely not one of the top destination states for EDM. Or am I wrong about that? Okay. Haywyre, will you be at Nameless Music Festival in Italy at the Monster Cat stage? I will not. Are you in Italy, Opalwins? 2 people all in on... Okay, all right. You guys ready? Here we go. Who's going to win it? Damn. It's a nice try. What's up, Eidolon? You are now poor. And the only way to get money is by hanging out with me. Damn, wait, why did you bet that many points, Eidolon? Tisk, tisk, bro. Tisk, tisk. At least you got your snake to keep you company. I FA and indeed did FO. All right, what you got for us, Eidolon? Okay, you've heard this before. Now it's twice as long. Tomboy wrote lyrics. All right, let's check this out. Wire chord album.
Thinking about you, making bedroom, la-di-do, stop, la-da-di-do, la-di-do, singing la-di-do. Humming this tune in my bedroom.
Cute vibes.
La-di-do, singing la-di-do.
I do remember. I do remember the song specifically because it made me think of Stacy's mom. Theodoro, thank you for the follow. Miku's mom. This is a new section, I feel like. I don't remember this. Sick. Nice. It's a nice way to wrap it up. It's a cool tune. It's very wholesome, very cute, very poppy, and it's an interesting mix of things. It does remind me of I don't know what style of pop you would call Stacy's mom, but that kind of like, like the writing is intentionally cheesy in some ways, right? It's got kind of like this feel good, wholesome vibe to it. So Miku's the Vocaloid, right? Hold on. I gotta show you guys something real quick because we're on this like wholesome vibe right now. I want to try to add my iPhone as a camera real quick if I can. How do I do this? Video capture device. Add existing? No. Create new. iPhone. You guys gotta see baby right now. He's so cute. Haywyre's iPhone desk view. I think it's this one. Yeah. He's laying with Alphonse. I don't have a child yet. Maybe someday. Maybe I can like I'll have a cat cam down here. Hold on. One sec. Oh my god, he's so cute. It's crazy. But yeah, that's my baby. What is he doing with the camera? No. All right, maybe that's not going to work out. He wanted to move. All right. I'll get rid of that. He's ridiculously cute, though. Okay. But anyways, in terms of feedback, I'm trying to think before I lose my train of thought. You know, I don't know how much you've changed since last time, but I will say that I really like the production on it as well. It feels very clean.
Thinking about you, making bedroom, la-di-do, talk like la-di-do, la-di-do, singing la-di-do. I'm in this tune, in my bedroom, la-di-do, talk like la-di-do, la-di-do, singing la-di-do.
Okay, part of me, when I heard that snare, though, I was kind of hoping that like that kind of like beefier snare was gonna start playing in the song, and then you switch to like this 808-ish thing, which obviously works, but I felt like I was teased with that a little bit. I was like, I kind of wanted to hear the song playing that instead, but you know, it's probably too beefy. It probably takes up too much space in the mix, so I understand why you're kind of like sticking to these like shorter, lighter, higher pitched sounds. So I don't know, I'm just randomly mentioning that. But by the way, I really like this this section here. It's really cool. Some great production here going on too. I feel like this is dare I say one of your best submissions, Eidolon. I feel like there's really not, like, maybe in terms of arrangement, like you could almost, like, a part of me is thinking like I like that section a lot and I almost wish it happened earlier in the song, but it's also a reward for like sticking through, and like it makes it a little bit more of a journey. You know, you kind of like have this feeling that it's this like, I don't know, like this little poppy song, and it kind of is, and then it kind of goes on this random little tangent here at the end, and it's kind of fun to just like have this little adventurous departure from the rest of the song, and yeah, I really like it. It's cool. Is this your new snake? What's your snake's name again? That was the intention, develop the song, but also have like a bit of a fake out. Yeah, totally. The drums are 3/4, but the chords and melodies stick to 4/4. Oh, espresso, right? He's a ball of rage. All right. Hold on. Wait. Wait, did somebody win? 67.9 thousand key coins? Somebody won all those key coins? That's crazy. Yo, what are you gonna do with your newfound wealth already? All right, let's move on to the next feedback. Thanks for sharing that, Eidolon. What's up, Shipwreck Paradise? What you got for us today? God, my piano chops have gone downhill so much, unfortunately, over the last year. My wrist is still not back to normal, which is a bummer, but it's definitely a lot better. All right, let's see what we got here. What do we have? Shipwreck Paradise. Moon unmastered, 140 BPM. A full mobile song, no way. You made this on FL Mobile? Nice. I love it. I'm a fan of those kind of I like the kind of like, well, I like the vibe of the track, first of all. I was going to point out something specific, but overall, I love the fact that you made all this on FL Mobile. That's rad. I think the mix feels very gentle, you know, so it's interesting. I wonder, I doubt you mixed this on iPhone speakers or whatever. You probably had headphones in, I'm guessing, right? Because that'd be pretty impressive. Like, I don't know if I would be able to mix a track on like the speakers, mobile phone speakers. But anyways, it's a cool idea. I like it. Nice vibe. Reminds me a little bit of I don't know if y'all know Camufly, but it's got that vibe a little bit to me. Kind of like Sammy Vergy adjacent, like Salute and a lot of those artists. It feels like it's in a similar space. Sammy Vergy can be a bit more, I feel like, upbeat than this sometimes, if that makes sense, or heavier, I guess, sometimes as well. But yeah, it's really cool. I think there's just room to elaborate on it. Really, it feels like a really good sketch for the song as a whole. Like it's catchy. It feels like it's got even room for maybe like a top line or something like that. So if you wanted to, you could send it to a vocalist to consider. And it is a little quiet, yeah, for sure. But yeah, honestly, that's all I have to say. I feel like it's just a good foundation. You know, you can just elaborate on it some more. I feel like without more elaboration, it does feel a little bit maybe on the sparse side. You know, I do like the vocal chops and such, but I almost feel like if you had, you know, a vocalist on the track, that would give you more than enough ammo to add some flourishes and yeah, kind of give it that polish, that final touch. But without a vocalist, you could also maybe just introduce more of a melodic, more of a stronger kind of like melodic motif. Right now, it feels like you have like the arrangement is down, the sound design is down, that the drums are sounding pretty solid, and yeah, it is a bit quiet, but like that vocal chop is good, but it's not enough on its own to, let's say, like carry the song melodically, right? Not every song needs to have some kind of main melody, but it feels more like a space filler kind of vocal chop, if that makes sense. Like something you play after a chorus to keep the momentum going, maybe something you play in the intro to grab attention. but it's not really a melody, a main melody in and of itself. But I might be wrong about that, though, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. It depends. You know, I think you could see it different ways. Obviously, it goes without saying, Feedback Fridays, these are just my opinions. So, you know, you can throw them away and ignore everything I'm saying. But I do feel that the melody is not quite main melody energy enough. That's just my take, you know, and that doesn't make it that the song doesn't work or anything like that. I think it works just great. I'm just telling you, you know, my honest opinion. That's all. Yeah, I see the lead here, so I think maybe you recognize a similar thing to like maybe elaborate melodically on what's going on. How does a sax sound if do a small solo? Yeah, totally. Experiment with the jazz edition and a sax would be cool for sure. Yeah, man. Hell yeah, sax is great. Why not? You play the sax, or are you saying you just sample a sax solo or something? I do every instrument. Every instrument. Do you play the duduk? Duduk goated. No, but seriously, that's awesome. You should totally add some sax if you wanted to. Didgeridoo that, and now that would be, you might be going on a tangent there. But sick tune. Thanks for sharing, Shipwreck, and I'm really impressed that you did that on FL Mobile. That's awesome. Yeah, man. You don't know about the duduk? Dude, the duduk is like such a freaking awesome instrument. I might buy one again one of these days. Fantastic Armenian instrument. Yeah, my boy, of course Opal Wins knows about the duduk. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, right? Hold on. I think we might want to do another gamba. What do you guys say? Time for another gamba? Duduk pronunciation. Is Art Nerd still here? Yes? Hell yeah. I'm always here. Omnipotent. Always watching. All right, let's do another gamba, but real quick before we do that, let's see if I pronounced duduk right.
Duduk. Duduk.
Duduk. Duduk. Not quite. One more time.
Duduk.
Duduk. Duduk. Duduk. The duck, like you're French. Yeah, sounds about right. All right, let's do another gamba. Art Nerd, are you ready for me to read out some names to you? It's basically the same people still, actually. By the way, Cody had a question for you. Oh, did I miss a question from Cody? I may have. Oh, here. While I got you here, what kind of artist do you envision opening up for you? That might be a different conversation, because I could think of a million artists. Maybe I can't find an email for your agent. Here, just I'm gonna write to you right now my manager's email to reach out to, and he'll get you connected. Are you sure you want to do this? The sending will persist until you. Well, yeah, that's fine. It's just my manager. So if chat wants to spam my manager with emails, so be it. But yeah, I sent you my manager's email, and he'll be able to get you connected with UTA. I don't know. I forget exactly who like what email to use for them. So, all right, Art Nerd, I can add that email to command. I wouldn't worry about it. Well, yeah, sure, might be kind of nice. Genre, well, I do like supporting other live performing EDM acts that are in a similar space. But it's kind of a niche place, and there's not always that many artists, especially local ones, right? So it can be a limiting factor. But yeah, let's talk about it over email. Moderately successful rock band MGMT works for you. Yeah, they are my management. MGMT is my management. Okay, Art Nerd, I'm gonna give you the names again. So we got Ciodoro, we got Red Music, we got Rat Wizard, we got Ariksu, Josta, Opal Winds, Red Panda, Noxel, and Mugard. Voting for Ciodoro. Big love, Mr. Wire will be in touch. For sure, man. Thanks for rolling through. I dug the tune you shared. I think it's probably close to 10. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. How do I throw away my fake internet points on mobile? I don't know. No idea. Couldn't tell you. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total. I'm pretty sure. Your top 3 favorite chord progressions. That's a good question. There's too many to choose from, honestly. But let's say even just for example, some of the ones from today's stream. I love some like Phrygian dominant stuff. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff for sure. Oh, got a new one for a 10 total. Nice. Okay, prediction has started, y'all. But I love jazzy stuff. Haywyre, have you seen One Battle After Another? Ooh, I can't wait to see it. I've heard good things about it, actually. You misclicks? That's a bummer. Gotta lock in for the Gamba, Noxel. You gotta lock in. Yeah, I will be watching that one of these days. All right, let's roll it. You guys ready? Hold on, let me do a little, I'll do a little preamble. All right, Wasabi music. You have won the Gamba. Do you have something for us to listen to? Did anybody win? My money. Even more broke now? Damn. Nobody won. That's a sad Gamba. Very sad Gamba day. But already kind of cleared a little bit. All right, what do we got here? So this is Blue Flowers by Wasabi. Okay, I thought I was tripping for a sec, but this is definitely not tuned to 440. It's a cool tune so far. Very cool. Nice. It's a really cool tune. Unfortunately, I can't really play piano on top of it, which severely affects your points for this feedback. No, it actually doesn't affect that at all. But I would have loved to have jammed out a little bit because among some of the first things that I noticed, obviously great sound design, and really, really nice kind of like wholesome feeling throughout the track. I did feel like it was missing a little bit of variation harmonically. So I liked a lot of the like glitchy Foley-esque kind of stuff. Reminds me a bit of more Kismet and their work. And Moore is crazy talented, so I think that's a compliment. But I want to go back to the chord progression thing here briefly. It's interesting because you have this chord progression here, And so I felt that, I definitely understand that when it comes to like a drop section, you don't have to somehow obviously stick to any foreshadowed chord progression or anything like that. But I will say it did feel very static, just kind of having the drop play one chord the entire time. And it's funny because even with that, there's enough sound design and just interesting stuff happening sonically to keep your attention regardless, so that's kind of a testament, honestly, in a way, that like even just with one chord, it's like a one chord challenge. Ride a drop just using one chord, and I feel like you still made it very interesting. That being said, I still feel that it would be a little bit better with some of these chords from the intro. I mean, you could pick and choose so many different things to add in there. What you have here is perfectly fine. I think some of those other chords just would have been a really nice touch to the track, is my main thing. But that being said, I like the switch up in terms of the drums here in the second half. I think it's interesting. Your sound selection and mixing choices is with the drums is quite interesting. Like that snare is actually very tiny, so it's kind of interesting, an interesting choice to not have something with more impact. I think it does work, but one argument for maybe just having even maybe just like a little bit of a sharper transient on that snare here is the kick actually has quite a sharp transient. And it's interesting because there are times actually where it sounds like it does have a sharper transient, and then it gets kind of muddled, I think, maybe with some sound. So there's potentially something for you to look deeper into whether the sidechain is kind of working correctly, because here, so let's go back to this briefly. That snare there, it sounded like it had a sharper transient than the next couple here. It sounds like there's something potentially going wrong there, unless it's an intentional thing to remove the transient there, which I feel like given the style you're going for, I would steer you away from that. I would keep that transient going. So maybe it's like an accident, but I would definitely make sure that your transients are staying consistent. And with especially with kicks and snares and EDM, it's not a must necessarily, but like it does feel good, generally speaking, to have the impact for them to be similar, right? Not in terms of like the frequency range they take up, but just like their impact in the mix. So I would have probably recommended to do that. I'm just realizing that this is also already released, so but I'm gonna just share feedback anyways, even just treat it as if it wasn't released yet. But yeah, I mean, that being said, you're obviously a very talented producer. Lots of cool stuff going on. Lots of great color-based sound design. Yeah, I like it. It's a good tune. Very, very wholesome. Feel good energy. It's like a 6/8 kind of feel. So I like that. So yeah, overall great tune. I think a little more variation in the chords, and then also maybe considering like to pay a little closer attention to those transients and just the presence of drums overall. But again, I think that that's a really cool way for EDM artists to kind of express some personality in their production style. Is like, I mean, drum sound design is a major part of electronic music, and like, I mean, you think about some of the more unique acts in electronic music and drums. I swear, like anybody that listens to Flume, anybody that listens to Space Laces, anybody that listens to Cone Sound, like if you play a few loops of just those artists' drums, like you'd be able to be like, oh yeah, that's Flume, that's Cone Sound. Like that's a big part, and I think that's something that I think it really sets apart artists from each other. So the reason I'm mentioning that is that I think I want to be encouraging of like exploring, your sonic identity in that way, and I think that it's a cool thing to experiment with. So I definitely want to be encouraging of that, but yeah. Anyways, that's all I got. Didn't want to keep working on it. Sorry if it sounds unpolished. Nah, don't worry about it. It sounds great. It's not unpolished at all. But yeah, just little things matter. You know what I mean? So yeah, thanks for sharing. Let's roll on to the next. See what we got here. Josta, what's going on? What you got for us today? Baby, come here. Baby, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. What up, what up? I'm trying to get baby to come over here. Come here. He loves it in here. All right, we got a track. This is 2 years old. Let's check it out. Very nice. Very cool. I love the track. I think that the in general the vibe feels very kind of soulful, very upbeat. Feels like a good kind of like a good casual kind of summer energy to it. To me, it feels like it's a little bit it would have benefited, in my opinion, from kind of committing to a more specific style. Like right now, for example, the intro felt a little bit more like a just like a little bit of a sampled hip hop kind of vibe, and then it went into more of a housey energy. I'll try to compare those two real quick. And that could have obviously been the point, of kind of contrasting those two things. But that being said, like this groove is great, and then it switches over to this, right? I'm trying to think of like an example of an artist that this might be adjacent to, because it feels like kind of housey, a little like funk soul elements in there. I was thinking Pomo for a sec, but the production definitely is the production style is a little bit different. But that being said, if you were kind of like trying to purposefully contrast these two, I feel like they're these two like kind of approaches to flipping the sample. I feel like you'd kind of want to pick and choose which one is the focus, and what I mean by that is like, let's say you want, in my mind, I would say that like you probably want the house aspect to be like the bigger focus. It actually kind of reminds me of Vanilla. I don't know if you know the artist Vanilla, but feels very much like in that space kind of. But I would say like you could probably like maybe filter the drums or squash them and make them feel more sampled in the intro and make it sound more like you're saving some of the impact of the drums for the drop, because when you compare this, yeah, I just feel that if you were to commit to making one of them the focus, that would have probably been a little bit better.
Baby, 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 slow.
So I think that, yeah, just kind of filtering them or like reducing their kind of like presence by a little bit, not by much, probably would have been nice. But yeah, other than that, it's a really cool, got a good vibe. Another thing I was thinking about is like maybe just having kind of like the saturated sub as the bass line feels like maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity. I think there's room for probably like maybe some bass samples, maybe like a little bit of an electric bass, maybe occasional slap bass. It is funky enough, I feel like, in the feeling to get away with something like that. But yeah, just some food for thought. I do like the track a lot, so thanks for sharing. That makes sense. I'm looking to revisit the song, maybe do an exclusive house edit. Yeah, you should totally give it a shot. I'm curious about that. Arigato. Yeah. Thank you. No, yeah, absolutely. Hello, sir. Greetings from Madeira Island. Thanks for joining us, Timmy Duncan. And yeah, you're welcome, Josta. I am going to take a super short break here to grab some water and hit the BR, and then we'll go back and return to some raffles. We still have lots of people to get through, so just bear with me here. I'll leave Baby in charge of the stream while I'm gone, and I'll BRB. You want to stay? Want to come out of here, buddy? Come on. It's okay. Come on. We got a new follower. Yo. Sorry for the wait. Had to feed the kitties. We're back in action. Baby's meowing, yeah. He can be a little dramatic, but what's up, Wisley? All right. Hopefully, people that submitted tunes are still here, and we can just pick up where we left off. So it looks like someone left already, but I don't think they had anything to share in the raffle, so I think we're good. Let's keep. Someone has to be removed. Okay. We'll just see if they're AFK once we roll them. Red Panda, gotcha. Cool. All right. Let's keep the ball moving. Who do we got next? Red music. Yeah, honestly, I don't blame anyone for needing to step away, so it's all good. I know that I was just away for a solid, 10 minutes or so, so I apologize, but Red, if you come back later, we shall listen to your tune later. So let's keep rolling. Hopefully not everyone pieced it. What's up, Moogard? What you got for us? And Tony Beats, what's up? All right, unfortunately, we might have to move on from Moogard as well. All right, let's move on. It's all good. Yeah, no, it's kind of my bad. But I really had to step away for a brief moment. What's up, Wisley? You got something for us to listen to? I'll keep an eye out for the AFK people. I thought you meant that as a threat, like I'm gonna blacklist them or something. All right, we got a track. Let's check it out. So this is Overfold by Wisley. sick. I like it. Cool. Yeah, I like it. It reminds me of Lasco a little bit. It's like kind of like a trippier version of like a Lasco kind of beat. I feel like there used to be a much bigger scene for this kind of music like 10 years ago. I feel like back when SoundCloud was still popping off. I don't know exactly, like Carmack, like Mr. Carmack, and man, there's a lot of artists I feel like that were really popping off, making kind of like these experimental trap things, and yeah, I love the vibe. I've always liked this kind of stuff. So the first half felt like very like kind of polyrhythmic, and it made it slightly like different of groove wise. I think the second half was definitely a bit easier, more familiar, from a listening perspective. Like, but yeah, lots of cool sounds going on. I like this sound selection. There are times where it feels almost too polyrhythmic, if that makes sense. Like I'm trying to think well, yeah, anyways, it did give that vibe off to me a few times where it felt like it was kind of losing me a little bit, but that's not a bad thing. It could also mean that my brain just is a little dumb. But yeah, I like it a lot. It's a good tune. I think that I'm trying to think about feedback, like anything constructive that could have potentially helped. But I feel like I understand the style quite well, and I think you're doing it well. You know, that kind of like experimental trap / trip hop kind of vibe, and I think it's cool. Definitely. Hold on. I think Lasco's still making beats these days, but a lot of his material kind of reminds me of this style. Yours is obviously a more experimental approach, but yeah, I feel like Lasco might be a good reference if you're not familiar. But either way, really cool tune. Thank you for sharing. Obviously, as a pianist, I feel like those breaks are a good opportunity to kind of like experiment a little bit more with melodic stuff. It's very soundscapey and textural at the moment, which is great. I think that, but yeah, these empty spaces are totally a good opportunities to experiment with melodic stuff as well. And obviously I hear that synth sitting on top there, so that kind of, I guess, achieves what I'm talking about in some ways. Yeah, the little reverb hits, the reverb throws in there. It's really cool. It's well done. So I don't know. I don't really have too much else to say. I just think it's a well done track, and I like the vibe, and I recognize like the space that it's in, and I appreciate it. Oh, it's in 7/4. Okay, that's why. Okay. I hear it now. Okay. I thought I was doing like some kind of, well, yeah, anyways. That makes a lot of sense. Old school old SoundCloud bounce. Yeah, definitely. All right. Yeah, absolutely, Wisley. All right, let's move on to the next person. See who we got. What's up, Noxel? What you got for us? All right, we got another track here. Here's a very old track I sent you since I'm trying to improve my mixing skills. I'm remixing these old tracks. Okay. You told me there are some issues. The mids. Could you give me more specific advice? All right, let's check this out. I may not remember the previous version, but let's listen anyways. It's Baby. It's a bit on the quiet side. Good arrangement, though. Okay, so first things first. Obviously a bit quiet, but the arrangement is great. There's a lot of cool songwriting stuff going on here, and I like it a lot. I'm pretty sure I can tell that this version, like specifically in terms of that aspect, arrangement feels very interesting, like a lot more interesting. Definitely like feels quite captivating from that perspective. But it still feels like it feels quite timid. You know, the mix feels like you're kind of it almost feels like you're afraid to like kind of commit to these heavier hitting moments where there should be a lot more impacts. And you know, unfortunately, the song is a lot quieter than a lot of the songs we had just previously been listening to, so that does affect the perception of it too. So you know, obviously, if it was louder, it might change how I'm seeing those things. But I think honestly, in a lot of ways, you're still having a similar issue as before, and I don't mean to say that in a discouraging way. But I do notice a difference. I'm fairly positive because I'm hearing more mids in the bass sound. And honestly, I think that it would be a big difference if this was kind of like brick-walled a little bit more, or just kind of like limited a bit more. So that's definitely, unfortunately, a big part of kind of like trying to critique this. Is like I'm trying to figure out how to skirt around the fact that it's a lot quieter than a lot of the previous music. Because I don't want to judge it based off of that, obviously, but it does make it a little bit more difficult. But yeah, it sounds like it still sounds like some sounds you're still potentially overcorrecting some of the mids on, like the like that sound. It sounds like it's still missing. It's still a little bit thin, like. And you know, really, what I would suggest is I would just try to slap a limiter on there, turn up the gain a bunch, and then try to start owning in the mix until it sounds good. Because I'm pretty sure that like right now, if you were to slap a limiter on there, turn up the gain, it's probably gonna distort a lot, and it's probably gonna sound pretty bad. But it could be a really helpful like mixing exercise for you, or maybe you already do this or have tried this, but knowing how to tame a mix to make it sound good when it's being limited is it's very different. You know, it's a very different process, and and I do feel like that would be very revealing for you and help you understand how to potentially work on that aspect of your songs. But that being said, still by far one of the cooler arrangements I've heard from you. I feel like it's very much like an adventure that you go on listening to it. And yeah, it's really cool. So, you know, composition, arrangement, all that kind of stuff, melodic things, those aren't really issues for you, and I've said that before. But yeah, I just think you got to keep trying to chug away and trying to make improvements. And you know, it's from the mixing perspective. Potentially, there are other aspects that are kind of tied into it. Obviously, everything is a bit connected. So like sound design, mixing, composition, you can't really like separate them into completely different things, completely different categories. They all overlap a bit. But yeah, that's just some feedback for you. And I would definitely give that a shot, because I remember when I started throwing limiters on my tracks, and it really helped me to experiment and try to understand, okay, when this is being limited heavily, this is what how it sounds. These are the things that aren't sounding good. I got to start figuring out how to get the mix to sound better, and that's just like a process that is really helpful. But yeah, appreciate you sharing, and let's move on to the next person. What's up, Rat Wizard? What you got for us? All right, we got a track here. Rat Wizard. I know we might actually get through everything for this stream today. This looks like French, and I don't know how to say it. Bit of a rhythmic switch up here. Back to the floor. Got a little bit of a glitchy industrial kind of house vibe-ish. Lots of kind of drawn-out soundscapey moments like this here. And then the intro as well. Kind of breakbeaty. If you listen to Night Punk, he might be a cool reference for this part of the song. Okay. Yeah, I feel like there's some interesting stuff going on. I do think that I'm trying to think high level here. It does feel, even if you're leaning into, let's say, like more minimal and dark kind of industrial vibes, it still feels a little bit underproduced in the sense that it feels like trying to make sure you're finding ways to build tension and keep the listener's attention a bit more than you are currently could be helpful, because it feels like the way that you're building and releasing tension and stuff feels a little bit uneven. Like overall, I think it does like convey a certain vibe and energy, and that's great. You know, the arrangement does, I think it works pretty well. You have kind of like this more forward to the floor section here, which was really nice. I like that a lot. And I feel like you could have maybe, if you leaned into like this industrial tech house kind of thing a bit more, you could have kept developing this. And there are these some other choices that I don't know if I agree with completely, because I think this is actually my favorite part of the song right here. But yeah, and then it kind of goes into this like, and then I guess the control, the ebb and flow of the energy. When you do have momentum, it feels like sometimes you it feels a little bit like you're not taking advantage of it as much as you should. I feel like there's a big energy shift here that happens. I feel like it would be better to keep kind of trying to build off of this. Bring in, I think, I know you bring the snare here, but it's kind of like after this little interlude where things get low passed. And I feel like, just as an example, like you could probably just skip this the section here where things get a bit low passed and just have the track keep building by going from this into the section where there is the snare popping up. Because ultimately you already have like this intro that is going to keep people guessing and being like, ooh, where's this going? What's happening? And it's interesting, right? And then you're rewarded by like kind of being like, oh shit, all right, here we go. But then the momentum of that switch kind of gets lost here when there's this like rhythmic switch up, and it's all very low pass, so it's very low impact. Obviously in this loud sound system you're going to be hearing that, but not on like iPhone speakers or stuff like that. So you're going to be kind of like losing people a little bit here, when in reality I think you want to be kind of keeping the momentum going. So that's why I think maybe removing some of this would be a good idea. And yeah, just I think on a broad level too, I think that there's just room for a little bit more attention to detail as a whole. It feels like you are nailing like that, the like I said, kind of like this dark industrial kind of vibe. You have the house version initially, and then kind of like something more along the lines of breakbeats here, and that's cool. But I do think that part of what would sell something like this is to find some reference tracks. Find a reference track, let's say specifically for the house here section, like some industrial, like tech house type stuff, and then have a reference for the breakbeat section as well. Like I was going to say Night Punk could be a cool reference. It might be a bit too aggressive for what you're doing here, but it could still give you some inspiration, right? Like, I mean, Night Punk does some really dope like vocal chops and vocal work where it sounds kind of like this old school like scratching of vocals and things like that. And something like that could be really sick here. Yeah, and the drums and the bass sound design, I definitely get, the energy is there, but it does feel underproduced, right? So I think like if you have some good reference mixes, they'll give you a lot of inspiration on like what's possible from a production standpoint for these two sections, or maybe not what's possible, but just like some inspiration, right? Just be like, okay, here's like here's another type of sound or a type of mix down I could try to kind of like bring more life to this this area. But overall, it's really cool. It's dark and mysterious, and yeah, it's nice. Sorry you couldn't jam. No, don't worry about it at all. Loving these tips is huge. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Cool. Let's see if we can get through a couple more. What's up, Tarnith? You got something for us? We may have lost some people over the last hour or so. All right, we'll move on. Move on to the next. What's up, Opal? Do we still have Opal here? Oh shit, he was ready. Copy pasted that blurb. Let's go. I set this track a while ago and I've implemented some of the things you told me about the feedback session. I still have to really nail the second drop in the outro. Yeah, no worries. Also, I know that this is a bit longer than I stream sometimes, but like I said, it's going to be a long stream. All right, let's check this out. This is Rebirth by Opal Winds. Oh, yeah. Very cool. I like it a lot. I like the kind of like two distinct rhythmic grooves you got going on here, like the breakbeat versus kind of like this more garage or UKG-esque kind of thing. Probably like more good, nice sound design there too. Good or sound choice, whichever way it goes. But I feel like you made a lot of improvements. I will say I'm still on the fence about the sample, like starting the song this way. And I'm pretty sure I probably said this last time too. It still feels like a quite a harsh sound. I can tell you tamed it. And I know I said something compared to last time because I can tell it's definitely been tamed a bit, but so I have a thought for you to try out. Nothing crazy, but what if you just bounced it as is, and then you I don't know if you're in Ableton, but if you pitch it down on Complex Pro and you put the format preservation to 0, to kind of like muffle it a little bit. I wonder what that would sound like. Instead of it's, because the melody is really beautiful. So, but I just feel like something that's just a bit less aggressive or harsh right off the bat would just be potentially a little bit more powerful. It's really my only complaint, I'm not gonna lie. And I hate to still be harping on about that, but I'm just not 100% sold on starting the song like that. The chords are great. All the other sound design is great. And the sound itself, it's not like there's something wrong with it. It's just like it's just having that sound playing the melody there. Not sure if that's the move. I feel like you could have it playing when you've built to a certain like climactic moment, and there's a lot of other elements taking up a lot of room in the mix. But when it's exposed so much with these kind of like low passed chords, and it's sitting on top of it like that, it doesn't feel super pleasing. But again, I am nitpicking, and it's your track at the end of the day, so make of that what you will. I will say, I think the garage part might be my favorite. See, even in this section, I feel like it doesn't bother me nearly as much as when it's exposed as much as it is in the intro. But anyways, I'm going to stop harping about that one sound over and over. Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing, Opal. Let's see if we have anyone left. We still have Ciodoro and Ariksu, looks like. And that's it. And then we'll have made it through everything. This is going to be a first. Oh, there's Antoni Beats. I missed you, I guess. So let's see if Antoni Beats is still here. I think Tony Beats might be not in chat. Okay, let's roll on. Okay, is Theodoro still here? It was a self-fulfilling prophecy, Ariksu. You put the words out there, so that made it a reality. If only everything in life worked like that. Oh wait, Theodoro is here. Nice. All right, let's check this out. See what you got. Ramoon Rush. Nice, that was fun. It's a fun tune. It's like very upbeat, complextro-ish. I enjoyed it. Trying to think about feedback for you, because obviously I was jamming a bit, so I wasn't paying super close attention mix-wise, but the energy is there for sure. I think the arrangement is great as well. Sound design and mix is sounding pretty solid. I really like the I think that it's a unique chord progression to have for a complextro-ish type track. I don't even know if that's the right genre for this. Probably not complextro, actually. It's just like electro. I don't know. But it is complextro. Okay, gotcha. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe we already discussed this in a recent Feedback Friday. But isn't Porter Robinson the one that coined the term complextro? and then it caught on after he called it that. I was watching a random interview with Porter Robinson, and this was like from like 10 years ago plus, and it kind of blew my mind because they were like, I think they were asking him about it, and he was like, well, I didn't intend it to be a genre, but I just happened to call it that, and it caught on. I was like, wait, Porter Robinson coined that? Anyways, I could be wrong, but in the interview they made it sound like it was his terminology. But anyways, so cool chord progression. Very cool. I think obviously that's not exactly what you have in the song, but it's pretty close to that. I do like it a lot. Lots of energy. Good switch ups as well. He got the little Ghostbuster riff almost going in there. Okay, now that I'm listening a little bit more closely, there's some minor things that I might suggest. Hold on. I really like this section, by the way, the switch up here. It feels like maybe there's room to EQ some of the lower mids out of this kick drum. And I was thinking for the second half of this drop, you know how like Mord Fustang and a lot of that old school kind of maybe that's also considered complex drum, I'm not sure, but they often have some kind of offbeat, kind of like a laser kind of sound, you know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like that on the offbeats. I think something like that could be cool. I will say I don't listen to a ton of Complextros, so I don't really know too much else of what's like idiomatic for that genre. But yeah, that being said, don't really have to know it to enjoy it, so I think it's a really great tune. Well, super well produced, arrangement works good, fun sound design, and most importantly, obviously, it was fun for me to jam over it. So thank you for sharing. Oh, you have it in the first drop? I see. Okay. Oh, I do hear it. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. There might be room for it in there, but I like it as is as well. Just a random thought. So that's all I got for you. All right. Yeah. Who could? Well, wait. Should we do a final gamba? Everybody. Final gamba. Who could it possibly be? I don't know. I'm just playing. All right. Ariksu, what you got for us? You've been so patient. Thank you for waiting. I know it's not the greatest system, but I just don't want to give people preferential treatment with subs and stuff like that. So let's check this out. Let's see what you got. Cool. I like it. Trying to think of some feedback. Overall, I think the structure works. Arrangement is pretty solid. I don't listen to a ton of hardcore, so might be a little bit out of my element, but yeah, I like the tempo change as well. I think that's cool to kind of go into like this halftime section here. So right off the bat, I think one of the things I noticed in this section, it does feel a bit static, just kind of like sticking on that G major. So I would recommend having a little bit more harmonic movement than that. Doesn't have to be that much more. You know, something like that, just a little bit more. Could be from the chord progression earlier or something. And the same thing goes here. You know, I can understand there are opportunities in tracks to kind of like vamp on a single chord for sure. And you know, if this was like a build, for example, that would make perfect sense to me. But it kind of feels lacking a little bit without more of a chord progression there. Doesn't even have to be that much more. It could literally be like 2 more chords here and there. So another thing I noticed here is that your bass line is, I don't think it's quite following the chord progression. So the chord progression, hold on. Your chord progression is going G major, G flat minor, A major, and then B minor. So I think your bass needs to match that because it's doing the G flat, but then it's going straight to B from there. But it should be playing. So that's one thing to keep in mind. In terms of the tempo change, it's a really cool idea. I think kind of underutilized in electronic music, but when it comes to the halftime section, I think maybe I wonder if like Virtual Ride could be a good reference for this. Like I hear the Jack Hughes snare and it kind of works here. I feel like I would enjoy some tremolo super saws, like future bass type stuff. There's room to get some inspiration from. I mean, there's so many amazing future bass artists out there, and melodic, dubstep. I don't know if I would call this like melodic dubstep, but just places to get a little bit more inspiration for, let's say, like additional sound design, or mix down ideas. But yeah, there's some food for thought. It feels cool to hear the tempo change, but it does feel a little bit underproduced at the moment. Not in the sense that it sounds bad, but it just feels like, ooh, I'd love to hear more. Maybe some variation in the sub, for example. The sub sound right now is basically the same sound it sounds like for the majority of it. And I would probably try to steer you away a little bit from having the sub move around the octaves that much. I think you would rather have people be focusing on the melody that's happening in that synth, and in the high register, and the vocal when it comes to melodic information. And the bass having that much movement might kind of detract a bit from that, even if it is mostly in the low end and you won't necessarily hear it that much in the mid-range. But still some food for thought there. And I think that the hat work as well, it feels kind of like that could I would pay attention to that. They feel like they're pretty far back on the mix currently, and so what you mostly get listening to it is really just the kick drum and then the kind of rim snare, flam snare type thing, which is fine, but I feel like it'd be better if there was some more hat work that was like a bigger part of that, more prominent in the mix. So yeah, I think just in general, you have a great outline here. You have lots of good stuff going on, and I think it's just time to dig in deeper. That's my general feeling. Is like the arrangement is good. Maybe you could have a little bit of an outro after this. There's definitely room to do that. But yeah, that's all I got for you. So, gotcha. Thank you so much for the feedback. You are welcome. All right, y'all. Look at this. This is a first. I think I've never done a Feedback Friday and actually gotten through everyone that's submitted. So, oh my God. Oh, we did it. But that's it for me for today, y'all. Cool stream, first time here. Well, thank you for joining. And I hope to see you guys next time. I'm going to pop in tomorrow and do a little extra bonus stream. Probably going to do a pretty long one tomorrow, actually. I'm kind of feeling it. So I'll do some production. Maybe bring Baby back into the studio. We'll see. But Baby is like my stream marketing at this point. But anyways, that's it for me for today, y'all. So thanks for hanging out. Really appreciate lots of really great tracks today. So lots of talent, man. That's crazy. So much talent out there these days. But yeah, take care, y'all. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and maybe I'll see some of you tomorrow. Peace out.